Welcome, everyone. This is Christine Cliff with your revitalized energy. And Emily and I are snickering because we were having a little technical difficulties this morning, but that's okay. So, welcome, Emily.
Hi.
So, before we get into all the good bits about ourselves and what we're up to, Emily and I wanted to have a chat about shadow work. We both do it. We both work with other people with it, but we do it I say totally different, but we do it differently. So
Mhm.
I just want to have a chat and to share with people what shadow work actually is and what it might look like for them. So, Emily, do you want to share? I'm going to say your definition of what shadow work is.
Yeah, so I learned about shadow work in university because, Carl Jung was the one who coined the term shadow work, who was he worked around the same time as Freud. So that's where I first was introduced to shadow work. And I remember learning about it and then didn't pick it up again until I got into the witchy world. And now it has a completely different meaning for me too, instead of just a psychological term. So the way that I describe shadow work is when you don't want to deal with stuff, your emotions, trauma, anything that's happened to you, um, you shove it down into your, well, I shove it into my guts. Different people shove it into different places of their body. I shove it way down into my guts, which leads to digestive issues because I'm just shoving energy down there. um, yeah, you when you do shadow work, you there's two steps. You go in there, slowly bring out that stuff and bring it into the light, and then you learn how to live with your shadows. So you don't bring it out into the light, deal with it, throw it away. You learn to live with your shadows.
Okay. So, this is where we differ. I'm going to say this is where we differ is that last bit. Because totally, shadow work is about dealing with the shadows, the parts that we don't like, right? Whether it's stored emotions, the trauma, what have you, but it really is the parts that we don't like. It might be the nose on our face,
Yeah.
right? That is um the shadow work or the why, right? The why we don't like our nose is actually the shadow work, not the nose itself. But um right. And so the I'm gonna say typical, but the regular mystical and magical way is to work with the shadows and to find a way to have balance with it. Would that be a good way to
Yeah.
put it?
Yep.
Okay. And so for myself, and before we came on screen, I was telling Emily that, which we've had this discussion before, is I didn't even think about what I did as shadow work. And it took me a few years to realize that no, do what I do can be put in with shadow work, um, but it is not the norm because instead of living with the shadow, is I help people let go of their, I'm going to say, connection to the shadow or release it. Let's take, I'm going to say, let's take a, I was going to say, let's take a scenario. Um, what's a scenario that's popping into your head? One that someone might want to, I'm going to say live with, but like find balance or harmony with that shadow.
Nose theory or your nose example, like not liking the size of your nose.
Okay. So, yeah, and I'm chuckling because we really did have a get together with a bunch of friends, and one of the friends, um, they didn't necessarily have an issue with their nose, but they were wondering how some of us even breathe with our little noses. Anyway, it was a very interesting and funny situation. Okay, so yeah, so on my side of things, right? If someone didn't have an issue with their nose, we would delve into the why, the why they're conscious, right? Why they're conscientious of the size of their nose, and I'm going to say let go of whatever trauma from the past, because that's usually what it stems to. Let go of that so they can actually feel um, the love, like, right, the love for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all I have to say about that right now. So tell me or share with whoever happens to be watching us what I'm going to say what your process would look like with the nose scenario.
So I haven't actually done shadow work with people where it isn't like it hasn't started with I hate my nose. It's always started with a trauma that happened.
Mhm.
So I've never, it's hard for me to think of that as an example because I've never done it. So the last person that I did shadow work, we were working through a friendship that went bad,
Okay.
and he didn't want to deal with it because she had shoved it so far down that she's like, I don't even want to do it. And what dug it out of her that was shadow work is I was doing a tarot reading, and I have a shadow work tarot spread that helps you figure out what you should do next for shadow work, because a lot of people have shoved it so far down they don't even know what's down there.
Hmm.
So you have to find it somehow. So I use tarot cards to just guide us on that journey. And in fact, I always do shadow work at the end of a tarot reading. So the way that I do it is after shuffling the cards and dealing the cards and figuring out the cards that you need for your reading, I take the card that's at the bottom of the deck, and that's your shadow work card or your shadow card, because it's shadowed by all of the other cards in the deck. And I use that card to help you on your journey with shadow work. And that usually starts a conversation with people that are like, oh, yeah, I kind of forgot that I shoved that down so far. So that's how I start shadow work. And then mine's very conversation based, like figuring
Okay.
out why, like the why, figuring out how we can work with that. And then lately, if they need it, then I'll do a little bit of energy healing with whatever we just dug up.
Okay. And potentially letting some crud go if
Mm-hmm.
that's what they need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, so I'm going to say we go through a I'm going to say a similar process. Mine starts with reading their body,
Yeah.
right? Like intuitively reading the body and finding out where we need to go, opposed to, right, your card. Your card
Yep.
comes up and guides you on where you need to go. And likewise, I may talk to people, right? We may chat about what's coming up and letting go of it. So it's a very conscious
Mm-hmm.
action. And sometimes it's subconscious. Like sometimes I'm drawn to not talk to them, or there's no guidance in what I'm supposed to talk about, and just
Right.
helping them let the pain that they have stored
Mm-hmm.
from it. Um, and I guess that's the part that I um, come back to with the shadow work. For me, that's the important part, is not so much that they even know what it was that they stored, and that they don't necessarily have to go through the pain again, but they allow themselves to relieve themselves of anything that is no longer useful for them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it took me a long time to decide that that was in the realm of shadow work, because it doesn't work the same.
No, because yes, the like technically shadow work, like the definition of shadow work is learning how to live with your shadows. But if you're getting rid of it, how are you living with it?
Right. Like, so you are, I'm going to say, surviving beyond it. Okay, right. So this, I'm
It,
going to,
that's the thing. Yeah. like living with it, because you can't just pretend it's not there, right? Like that's a lot of people get that wrong with shadow work. They're like, I did shadow work, I forgave, I forgot. And I'm like, that's not shadow work, you're just repressing even more.
Yeah. And that's it. And so, and what I help people with is not just to let it go and not have done something internally,
Yeah.
but their internal work doesn't necessarily involve their brain,
Yeah.
right? So we do it energetically
Yeah.
opposed to like consciously
Yep.
in what I refer to as talk therapy, right? Sometimes we do talk therapy.
Yep.
A lot of times it's the energy work. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's where, right, I was very divided at the beginning on whether or not is actually shadow work or not shadow work. And um, so, yeah, I'm it's coming to my brain, coming to my mind. Um, like just we'll take sexual assault,
Mm-hmm.
okay, as our example.
Yep.
Better example than our nose. I mean,
Yeah.
the nose is one thing, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that come up to it, but sexual assault. So, if you did the best shadow work practice, what would be your end result for yourself or whoever you're working with? If it started out with, say, sexual assault or physical assault or something like that.
Yeah. Like actual abuse.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit of a different scenario than like losing your best friend, like I just did with my client, because you
Yeah.
don't, reliving that trauma is not the same as living sexual assault trauma, right? So that's a little tiny bit less of talk therapy, because I'm not a therapist, and I'm an energy healer and a tarot reader, right? So I don't want them to have to relive any of those emotions. So I do a little bit of talking, but it's less talking, I guess,
Mhm.
and energy healing in that case. But we don't want to pretend that it didn't happen, because it happened. So we just learn that there's nothing wrong with us because it happened. And I think that is one of the biggest thing of shadow work for me, is learning to live with the fact that it did happen and it wasn't our fault, and we're not any different because it happened.
Right. So if you could put a sensation or a feeling to how the person would feel or interact with that past after being having totally completed their shadow work, what
Mhm.
would
So I always envision shadow work the way that you feel before, because like I shove it into my gut. So like that can be heavy. It can feel like you're bloated. You know what I mean? Like it
yep,
just feels like you have like rocks in your stomach. And the way that I feel after I've done shadow work is that, like, I'm gonna get weirdly visual. You
that's
just
okay.
bring rocks up and let them just kind of live over there. They're not gone. We didn't throw them away, but they're not connected to us. The rocks are just like over there. I actually saw this really cool picture. I should post it like in the comments below if I can ever find it again. But it was this woman. She had like dark shadows all around her, like really dark shadows connected to her. And then at the end, after shadow work, she had like a leash with all of those demons, black shadows connected to the leash, and she was just taking them for a walk. And that's what shadow work like visually looks like for me. The shadows aren't living inside of you anymore. They're just walking with you. So it's more of a light feeling, like light. They're not inside of you, stuck like rocks inside your body. They're light. That you feel lighter.
Okay. Okay. I'm wrapping my brain around a few of your, no, and it's really, really good. And I, wrapping my brain around wasn't the right, but like what I wanted to say about it. So, yeah, the woman with her shadows on a leash is really powerful because
Yeah,
she is then in charge,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
They are there, but they supersede her. Like they're not that they're less than her, but she's in charge. She's
yeah,
in charge. They're
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So in my light and love and unicorns um life that I lead that I lead over here, I'm going But why do the shadows still have to be shadows opposed to light? And I know that the world, right, is black and white, dark and light, and I
Mm-hmm.
get that. So that was the part I'm trying to wrap my brain around. And I may not have an answer before we're totally done here today
Yeah.
because we're going to need to wrap up soon. But that's my okay. Why does it still need to be dark? So you were talking about the rocks in your belly
Mm-hmm.
and letting them out. And so when I deep dive into the shadows that I'm going to say have caused the people to be who they are, like
Mm-hmm.
the things that have been so traumatic, and they might be from this lifetime, they might be from past, but the traumas that have almost connected to people's DNA, you know what I mean? Like, or have morphed their DNA into who
Yeah.
they are, that it's that embedded. It is very similar work that I do. I think of them more like thought bubbles,
Mm-hmm.
right? That come out and they get cleaned off. And the ones that are meant to go, like the memories that they're meant to have, they go back in. Um, but where they're stored and the energy around these thought bubbles are cleared of, I'm going to say, the emotional attachment,
Right.
right? So they have all the memories, right? So they haven't let that go.
Mm-hmm.
They just have allowed themselves to not, I'm going to say, be emotionally connected to it.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, um, it no longer holds power over them
Right.
that way.
Yeah.
So yeah. So again, still very similar but different. I'm okay. Okay. Is there
The
anything
end
else?
result for
Pardon
both
me?
the end result for both of us is the same.
Well, and that's where I that's why I wanted you to share the what the end result looks like to
Yeah.
see if our end results um look similar. And for me, like for my own personal, instead of having the trauma on the end of the leash, I'm allowing it to be set free,
Right.
right? And it's not that I don't have the memory. It's not like I pretend it doesn't happen, but it's like I'm also wanting, it's like the a balloon. I'm just going to let the balloon go instead of carrying all the balloons. If trauma and the shadows are balloons, instead of carrying around my now pretty balloons, I just let the balloons go.
Right.
I'm going to say if there's a difference,
That's it. Yeah.
that would be the difference.
Yeah.
And for some people, right, sometimes they need to carry the balloon or they feel they need to carry the balloon because it helps them move forward
Yes.
and not backwards. Yeah.
Not only that, but it helps you because yeah, in both of our scenarios, you're not forgetting what happened, but it like the same as learning about history, it helps you not to repeat history, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We are almost out of our time because we both have something else that we need to be doing. Otherwise, we could still stay here and chat longer.
Yeah.
So, Emily, you share first.
Okay.
Tell those that are watching who you are, where they can find you, and what amazing things are going on over the next month.
Okay. Well, my name's Emily Arsenault. I own Stag Magicks and Dog Eared Books. So Dog Eared Books is a used bookstore in Ormocto on Restigouche Road, 281. And Stag Magicks is inside my bookstore. We have a witchy metaphysical corner. And then right now I'm in my office upstairs in the Sour Grape building where I do tarot readings and energy healings and spell work and all my things that I do. This month you can find me this Tuesday coming up, not tomorrow, like next Tuesday. I forget the date, 25th. I'll be hosting a talk for the Friends of Four Corners at the Burton Lion Club at, I believe, 6 o'clock. I'll be talking about journaling, which is like, if you've seen my I have an entire tote bag that has all my journals in it, and I probably have about 15 journals and notebooks that I use every day because I'm a little bit of a no, I'm not even going to say it. I'm normal. That's normal. um, and gosh, where else am I going to be? I don't know. I'm going to have to look at my calendar. I should have done that before we started. But I also have, starting April 7th, a 6-month program called Awaken and Become. And I can post that down below in the comments too, so that you can learn about that. And that's all that I've got going on.
Okay. What are the typical store hours?
Only closed on Sunday. So 11 to 5 every day except for Sunday. And Thursday, we're open till 7.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. 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 And it is awesome that you're going to be with the Four Corners
Yeah.
talking. And on that, about journals, I'm going to also say that it's normal. Um, Last year, at the beginning of the year, I had a book I would journal and fill it till the end. And partway through the year, I um, decided I was like Emily and needed multiple. And I think at the moment I have 5 different books going for different reasons. And it seems so it now feels very normal, but when I had started, it's like, oh, I don't know. But now it's like, oh, whatever. I have five books I carry around with me
5 is
because
nothing.
no, I know, but I'm up to 5,
Yeah.
so we're good. Um, okay, thank you, Emily. So for those that aren't aware of who I am or what I do, I'm Christine Cliff with your Revitalized Energy. I also have Luminary Publishing that I had started recently. Um, and really, so this month, I'm going to say the only thing on the books is next Sunday, the 23rd, I believe the date is. I'm having a Reiki share for practitioners and students um, who are at level 1 or level 2. So at this moment, we're not inviting masters in, so the level 1 and level 2 students can totally feel comfortable doing their stuff and knowing that doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway that if they feel like they don't know anything. But so to help everyone be more comfortable, it's for level 1 and level 2 students. And yeah, jump on my Facebook page. The event is on there. And other than that, um, always open to more clients for one-on-one sessions. And like Emily, next month I have a 6-month program that is coming up. And Divine Goddess, um, yep, I just lost the last word. Evolution. Nope, that's not it. Elevation. That is the word. It is evolving. It is all about evolving in your spiritual journey. Um, and so, Emily, is yours about the spiritual journey or all about them as a whole human
Yeah.
journey?
Yeah.
Their whole human journey.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the difference between ours. Yeah. Yours is very, well, mine has spiritual stuff inside of
Yeah.
it, like energy healing and tarot readings and stuff like that. But it's more about self confidence in yourself and, um, yeah, transformation within yourself. We're going to be talking a little bit about finances and how you feel about things and limiting beliefs and all that fun stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is work. That is what my focus generally is, right? When people come one on one, that
Yeah.
is what um, we work on.
Mm-hmm.
And the universe knows what they're doing. And they're like, Christine, yes, keep doing what you're doing. But when you create your program, focus on the spiritual.
Yeah.
spiritual side. So yeah, it is for people who are tired of pretending they don't even have gifts,
Mm.
um, or keeping themselves small because of the group that surrounds them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for those that, right, they're tired of all of that. They're tired of being small. They're tired of pretending. And those that really want to embody all that they are and all that they do, um, and bring it into their life, whether they're going to make money from it or not, or whether they just want to totally encapsulate who they are spiritually
Mm-hmm.
and gifted wise. Yeah, that's what this
Nice.
is for. So, okay. Fantastic. You guys will find links to what we're doing in the comments. And other than that, we are wishing you a very, very well day and um, good month until you hear from us again.
Oh, my hands.
I know mine's off the screen too.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.
Bye.